so many superheroes that feel like they are not worthy of the power they possess, but who are the ones that actually didn't earn it? Stick around for today's feature, superheroes who didn't earn their powers. Hi nerds, it's good to speak to y'all again. First up today is Fiery Mask, also known as Jack Castle. Jack's origin story is a wild ride, so strap in. One night, Jack is driving home when he comes across this car and it's on fire. The car is filled with local criminals, no survivors except for this one guy. Jack believes that he wasn't a criminal though. Because he's a doctor, he took this guy home to help him out. A hospital would have been too far, apparently. Lucky for Jack, when the man lay actively, passing away on his couch, he revealed he actually has fire powers and needed to pass those powers on. At first, Jack was like, I can't take these because there's a good chance you could live if I call an ambulance. But then he realized that if the guy makes it to the hospital but then doesn't live, someone else would get the powers. So he lied to the man, told him he called an ambulance but they were all busy, which wasn't true. In Jack's mind, he was doing something good because he knew he would use the powers for good, I guess. But still, the man had a chance to live. Jack felt guilty about it at least. That is Jack's real origin story, but because he felt bad and he didn't want people finding out he essentially let someone pass for power, he made up a different origin and lied about it. Did he do something easy and just say that the guy was already past the point of saving when he found him, but he did everything he can? No, of course not. Instead, he said that he was helping the police on a case where zombies were abducting hobos and turning them into zombies with a ray gun. He was kidnapped and brought before the zombie master who tried to turn Jack into a zombie, but Jack was familiar with hypnosis, so it didn't work on him. The zombie master got mad, dialed things up to 11, and the ray gun blew up, ending the master and giving Jack his powers. And that was his story for decades. Jack doesn't feel like he earned his powers since there was a good chance the man could have lived, and honestly, it's a good argument. Alright, so this next hero is definitely gonna ruffle some feathers. I can feel it. Batman.
Bruce Wayne.
Now listen, before you run off to the comment section, I personally do think that Bruce Wayne has earned the respect that comes with being Batman. He has done some questionable things, but he is a good man and an even better hero, so why is he here? Also, he doesn't have any traditional superpowers, so literally why is he here?
Locked as well.
Well, last night I was brainstorming ideas for this video and I asked my roommate if she could think of any heroes that didn't earn their powers, and without hesitation she said, oh, Batman. His superpower is being rich. He didn't earn that, he inherited it. And I will not lie, that is a funny take on this. Personally, my response was, well, his parents were literally taken out in front of his eyes. I think that entitles him to some financial compensation. So you let me know where you stand on this pressing issue. Are you team Juliana, Batman earned it, or team roommate, Batman is not worthy? Have fun, I mean, why am I here if not to stir up drama in the comment section? Next is Booster Gold or Michael Carter. There can definitely be an argument made that this hero didn't earn his superpowers. I mean, he literally stole his powers from a museum and time traveled back in time so he could be widely loved. That's the short form version of what happened. Sure, it's hard to spin, feeling like a loser in his time, so he steals artifacts and time travels back in time to an era where he would be a hero in a positive light, but if you had the eyes to see, you would find that the guy has a heart of gold and he just didn't know what to do with it. His mom was suffering from a disease but couldn't afford the bills, so Booster would bet on his football games and then throw them on purpose to get the money. Bad thing to do for a good reason.
I'm afraid being famous isn't the same as being a true hero.
And when he did get to the 21st century, he did good. He actively worked to be a superhero, eventually becoming a valued member of the Justice League. So yeah, maybe Booster Gold didn't deserve the power at first, but he certainly went on quite the journey to earn it. Sidebar though, the way I want Glenn Powell in this role, and I'm being completely serious about that, he would be perfect DC. I am begging. Booster Gold Volume 2 Issue 23 cover, that is me. The Whizzer had to make this list because what do you mean he got his powers from a transfusion with a mongoose? Robert Frank and his dad moved to Africa for a medical expedition. While there, Robert contracted a fatal disease. Nothing was working to cure him until his dad tried a mongoose transfusion. This action didn't just save Robert's life, it gave him super speed. Now, he did go on to use his powers for good. However, getting them from a mongoose, you can't come back from that, I fear. It seems Marvel realized how goofy this idea was and retconned it, saying that the mongoose procedure just activated a latent mutant gene, and that is actually where his super speed came from. Sentry certainly has an interesting origin story too, though. Robert Reynolds was in search of some substances that he was addicted to, so he broke into a lab.
I'm Bob.
The world is not a good place for you, Bob.
He was not looking for superpowers, he was literally just looking for something to make himself metaphorically float, if you catch my drift. Point is he was a societal reject. He just happened to break into the lab of a scientist who had some golden super soldier serum, or the Sentry serum. He stole it, drank it, and now he's a superhero. He struggled controlling the new power, even though he knew he wanted to use it for good. Many Marvel fans describe the guy as just like unstable. He was completely unprepared for the powers he stole, and sometimes still is, discovering new things every day, but at least he's trying. Technically though, an argument could be made that most superheroes and most mutants especially don't earn their powers. Lots of them just kind of wake up with them one day, or they just have them. It's the journey that earns it. There is one particular mutant that I think is still in the process of earning his power. Magneto. Bold choice, I know, but the man's body count goes crazy, so like, Magneto is one of, if not the most powerful mutant alive, and for a long, long time he used his powers to hurt, harm, and destroy. He was a broken man that grew up in a way that nobody should, but that doesn't excuse the way he treated people and innocents.
Is this what I am?
Magneto seems to have finally learned that lesson, and for the time being has set his evil ways aside to assist the X-Men. Thor went through a period where he was unworthy and had to earn back his powers. Thor has powers like on his own, he's a god, but his hammer is a large part of his act and identity, so he does kind of need / want it. Nick Fury had said Gore was right to Thor, and that made him lose the ability to wield his hammer, essentially making him unworthy. And Gore was the guy that goes around taking out gods because he believes they are more harmful than good.
Some god for you.
Thor already had doubts about how good gods were for people, that having such a prominent Marvel figure say those doubts were legit, it just shattered his resolve. But honestly, this was kind of great for the character. Like in the first Thor movie, it forced him to take a step back and relearn what it is to be a hero, ultimately realizing that heroes are there to help people, not for fame and glory. Now, I love Marvel parody comics, but I hate Fight Man. Who is that, you might ask? He is Frank Bigelow, a local superhero that is so bad at his job, the city started protesting to get him to stop. Fight Man issue 1 literally had like giant lizard dinosaurs stomping around town and a gang of supervillains running around, and it was better for the city that Fight Man hung up his cape. He woke up with his powers one day, a human mutate. He's like a parody of Superman essentially. He flies, he's strong, invulnerable, super breath. He can also create energy blasts. The comic was done in the 90s, which is also loosely referred to as Marvel's experimental era, so that explains why this hero is so strange. He's just not a good person, like at all. He fights with absolutely no care as to how he's hurting the people and area around him. He appears to operate with no remorse. He's gone through 15 sidekicks. I'm pretty sure none of them survived. And worst of all, his jokes aren't funny. Just no redeeming qualities to be found here. He does exist on Earth 616, I just have no idea where he is. I'm sorry if anyone does have a personal attachment to this wacky character, but truly I wish him nothing but the worst. Y'all, be careful with what you drink because you might just accidentally consume an experimental super plastic fluid mixture that turns you into a giant bouncy ball. Poor Chuck Tane is a victim of this wildly specific circumstance. He really didn't do much past drink what he thought was pop, so yeah, he didn't exactly put in the work and put in the hours, if you know what I mean. Chuck, in addition to being a human-sized bouncy ball, is pretty durable, and him, as a person, is very smart, so he's not completely useless, just a little bit goofy. And A.G. Bell is the phone ranger, but he hasn't really done the work to be a hero. He's really good at fixing telephones, and and that's it. He happened to get a job fixing a space alien telephone that he could modify into a phone that could tap into any line. He wired it so he would always be the first person to get a 911 call, which that's not great. Seconds matter when it comes to those, and what if he can't help the situation, and there is a very real possibility he can't help because he has no other powers than like phone fixing. Imagine you were on the ground in need of a doctor and a phone repairman shows up. No thank you. He wasn't completely hopeless, but he wasn't completely helpful either. He was once unable to dodge a projectile that hit him in the face, so everyone thought he was done for, but then he just came back. But what do you think? It was nice talking to y'all again, and if you want more, check out Marvel What If Superheroes We Can't Believe Exist. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks for watching. Bye!